Random encounters can be seen as filler, or interruptions to the flow of the campaign, derailing it with rolling dice just for the sake of it within a session. But random encounters, when done right, can actually enhance a campaign by adding depth and unpredictability to the world. When you think of random encounter, you probably think of fights with some procedurally generated monster group, but that's not all they are. You can also have social encounters, such as a wandering merchant or lost traveller, and environmental encounters, like a sudden weather change, natural disasters, or hidden locations within the local environment. Something to think about throughout this video. The most important way to make sure that your encounters aren't boring is to make sure that they fit into the narrative in a relevant and meaningful way. There's a few ways you can do this successfully. You can use encounters when exploring a new setting in a campaign to set the scene of the region, and some environmental encounters can glean what the scenery is and what hazards might be present on their route. In a volcanic environment, for example, a cloud of ash may descend on the party, signalling that a volcano might erupt in the coming weeks or over the course of the arc. In a forest, some felled trees may block the path of the party's carriage, or in a frozen tundra, they may need to traverse an ice-cold lake. Yes, they're easy challenges to overcome. They break up the monotony of travel, and can teach the party about the landscape they're now traversing. An encounter with a traveller on the road can provide an opportunity to learn about the current social and political landscape of the land. What sort of issues exist in the local area? There could be a roaming band of soldiers that can inform the party on what conflicts are currently taking place, recent events, a travelling merchant with rare and exotic wares from nearby towns and cities, or even simple villagers who can highlight what issues are relevant to the common folk. Combat encounters with enemies that inhabit the setting can give insight into what can be expected further down the road, in a lesser quantity or difficulty. They can be used to foreshadow the major conflict of the arc. Maybe they had a chance encounter with some underlings of the Big Bad, for example. Hungry wolves might suggest that there's an ongoing famine. Bandits could indicate that the economic state is in turmoil. Underlings of a dark and mysterious force, well, I'm sure you can figure out what that will tell your players. But perhaps even more important than knowing how to integrate them is knowing when to integrate them. A session consisting of all random encounters is not going to be the most enjoyable experience for your players. I'd argue that even a random encounter a session is too much, particularly combat encounters. By their very nature, they slow progress down, so it's important to pace them out in a sensible and reasonable manner. Think about the landscape. Are your party in new or hostile territory? Then put a few more in so that they can sense that danger. Are they in familiar grounds, trying to clear up some errands before they move on in a place where their major arc has already ended? Steer well clear of pointless filler combat encounters, it'll only slow things down. This doesn't apply quite so much for role-player environmental hazards, bear in mind. They tend to take less time, be more narratively focused for what's at hand, and can be more easily traversed with creativity and out-of-the-box thinking than simply unga bunga, roll dice for half an hour, win against wolves. No one will complain if you describe a herd of roads traversing alongside them as they travel down the road for a bit of additional context about the local fauna. Or a travelling merchant that they could very well just choose to ignore along the road. But if they have to fight pack after pack after pack of wolves while trying to return Professor Pumpernickel's extraordinary legumes, you've probably gone too far. If you're enjoying the video so far, please leave a thumbs up so the algorithm knows to show this video to other people that love D&D. Subscribe for more D&D content, and leave a comment about your tips for random encounters down below. Dying to random encounters is never fun. In my experience, players don't mind dying. This is especially true if they die in a boss battle, or in a place that helps build the narrative and story of the campaign. However, random encounters should not be balanced to an extent where your players could die, or there's a chance of them dying. Whittle them down and get rid of some of their resources so that they're softened up for a future battle, yes, but die flat out to a random encounter? I'd argue this should be avoided like the plague. Ultimately, in D&D, you're telling a collaborative story, and I can't think of any stories of memorable characters in any form of media that died in a random style encounter with wolves. Why? Because it doesn't make for a good nor memorable story. The best tales that we tell of our campaigns contain character deaths, yes, but how often does a good one end with, and we were travelling on the road through a town we'd been to 17 times and a wolf killed me? No! Think about your players. Quite often they love their character and the story that they're involved in and telling. Honour them by giving them the opportunity to die in an epic fight against a powerful foe. Not a, gotcha, there's actually 24 wolves that attack you on the well-travelled road and you die because of action economy. If you want your random encounters to carry some risk, have them occur before they get to a challenging dungeon, so your party are weakened and have to consider their actions before tackling a real foe. In direct contrast to their name, I'm of the opinion that random encounters should never truly be random. If you take one look at the roll tables in the DM's handbook, you can easily see that the encounters don't fit every setting. It takes a bit of work, yeah? But if you want your encounters to feel real and fit within the setting, think of 6, 8 or 10 of them beforehand and craft them to the setting in which they might occur. Combat encounters, social interactions and environmental occurrences. Set a number on a d6, 8 or 10 respectively, and when an encounter feels suitable, roll for it. Or select one from your list if it just makes sense in that situation.